Bahamas Tonight find out the next step for Andre Babal and his legal team.
And other big cases in court today, and we've got full coverage.
Customs officers off the job. We have the latest on this developing story. The Bahamas Tonight starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The standoff between government and members of the Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union intensified today. Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles.
And good evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Mannings. Thanks so much for tuning in. Customs workers at various ports of entry showed up for work today, but as soon as they got there, they were sent home. Our Janae Noel Ferguson was at one of the locations where employees refused to leave.
A group of customs officers sat outside the Odyssey Airport Tuesday after being told to leave the compound. Union trustee Alma Wilms was one of them. She admitted to being late for work but claimed management had no right to send her and other colleagues home.
All the officers here arrived within an hour after 8, and they asked all of us to leave. I decided that I was here within the allotted time given by general orders. I arrived at 8:55. I was scheduled to be here at 8. He didn't ask me why I was late. All he said that I didn't reach for 8, so I had to leave the station. So I refused to leave the station, and he said, okay, you're being removed as a proper officer, and I was asked to give my ID and my epaulets. So I kindly gave them my epaulets and my ID, but I still refused to leave because he said, even though I'm only less than an hour late, I will not be compensated for the day.
Wim said they were told that if they did not leave, police would be called. Officers showed up but told them that they were only doing patrols and no reports were made. Now, Assistant Deputy Controller Gary Smith was also at the Odyssey Customs Station Tuesday in meetings with officials. Operations appeared to be backed up. We understand that temporary staff was brought in to carry out the work, and although he declined to comment on camera, Smith said the workers were to leave and his instructions came from the customs controller. As for these customs officers, they say a pay cut is something they cannot afford.
If the salary is cut, fortunately for us, we don't have friends to bail us out. We have the union to bail us out. That's why we pay dues to the union for such a situation like this. We are already at rock bottom.
Customs staffers remain on the premises for the remainder of the day, stating that they won't be intimidated by the government. Union Executive Cordero Edgecombe says, in his view, the union is operating under the law.
That of general orders, which says 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. You've operated an illegal shift system for too long, and because we as officers stood up and said that we are no longer going to work within the illegal framework, we return back to the law. You challenge us, but the Constitution of the Bahamas, the laws of the Bahamas give us the right in which we stand today.
Our ZNS News understands that similar situations happened at other ports of entry around the country, but these customs officers here at the Odyssey Airport say they'll be back to work tomorrow. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Director of Labor Robert Farquharson told ZNS News that the dispute that was filed on October 23rd has been referred to the Industrial Tribunal. As a result of the referral, the law dictates that all industrial action must cease. Mr. Farquharson says this means that despite the issuance of a strike certificate, any strike action by the union while the matter is before the tribunal would be a violation of the Industrial Relations Act. Well, also today, Labor Minister Shane Gibson said there were pockets of customs officers who are defiant and showing up to work, and this, he says, will not be tolerated. Mr. Gibson claims despite this incident, there are many officers who are still reporting to work during their assigned shifts. However, he maintains those who are not complying with their contracts and withdraw their labor will definitely receive a salary cut.
If you're supposed to show up to work at 8 o'clock, tonight or 4 o'clock this afternoon, you can't show up 12 hours earlier and expect to still be paid. It's not going to happen, right? And so we're not going to replace officers. We will discipline them. We will put letters on their files, and hopefully it won't affect their long-term employment. But I mean, as I speak, I got a list of officers who were recommended for promotion who we're going through at this time for customs and immigration. So hopefully we can conclude that promotion list very soon. For the officers out there who want these negative things on their file, continue to do what you're doing. Continue to be defiant, continue to go against the policy, continue to go against your contract. If you show up to work on time, you work in accordance with your contract of employment, then there's no issue. We won't just terminate officers. That's not going to happen.
In other news, a tongue-in-cheek announcement from Albany will go a long way in developing urban renewal.
We're going to make a small donation here to the Urban Renewal Fund in the sum of $1 million.
A tongue-in-cheek announcement will definitely go a long way in developing urban renewal.
LaDon Davis was at a special ceremony on the Albany property as the Urban Renewal Foundation got a huge injection of funding.
A token of our appreciation for everything that the Bahamas has done for us is we're going to make a small donation here to the Urban Renewal Fund in the sum of $1 million.
It's the single largest donation given generously by an investor to improve the social development of the country. Managing partner of the Albany project, Christopher Anand, said during a special ceremony on Monday that the project's goal is to empower not only young Bahamians, but to contribute financially to many of the country's social outreach initiatives.
Some of the things we're doing socially here, it's important that we support the country, and the urban renewal is a major push to try and create places for young people to go and try to make a difference in their lives at a stage in their lives where it can influence them. And so it's important to the country, it's important to us, and I'm hoping other corporations will follow.
While thanking executives of the Albany project for their financial injection, co-chair of the Urban Renewal 2.0 program, Algernon Allen, assured them that the $1 million will be put to good use.
Namely, that is necessary for any substantial investment in the Bahamas to have an investor and the country embrace each other. You will see this money being used, not only in the band, but in the Urban Sporting League, which we are seeking to move very quickly now with. You'll see it being used in the Boys and Girls Club of the Bahamas. And we are going to seek the guidance of our neighbor to the north, our great neighbor to the north, as we seek to structure, we seek to drive the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Bahamas.
Meanwhile, officials say some of the monies donated by the Albany project will also be used to maintain urban renewal centers in the Family Islands. LaDon Davis, ZNS Network News.
BTC's former CEO Leon Williams has been appointed as special advisor to the chairman of the company's board. BTC made the announcement today. Mr. Williams said he's delighted to accept the offer from Chairman Phil Bentley and looks forward to working with him, the board, and the current CEO Jeff Houston. Mr. Williams is one of government's appointed non-executive directors of BTC. As special advisor, he will advise Mr. Bentley on Bahamian affairs and telecommunication issues in the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean region.
The Royal Bahamas Defense Force beefing up its fleet as a part of the government's asset acquisition program. Today, National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage signed the contract with the German company Damen for the delivery of 9 new Defense Force boats. The new complement of ships will cost the government some $232 million, with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force set to take the first one this year, June.
In our Charter for Governance, my government committed to ensuring and securing our borders as a national security imperative. We pointed out that we must provide the Royal Bahamas Defense Force with the tools, the personnel, the training and the technology that they need to succeed. In this regard, during this term in office, we gave early attention to the acquisition of additional patrol vessels for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. You may recall that in March of last year, the government announced the signing of a letter of intent with Damen Shipyards to acquire 9 vessels for the Defense Force. We have the Damen representatives with us this afternoon. Today, the Ministry of National Security will contract the services of the Damen Shipyard with the view of expanding the fleet for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
Coming up, Andre Burball in court today to find out his fate.
And a short put specialist puts his all into this season. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.